What's up guys, it's your boy Demone and welcome back to another New World video. Sorry, I forgot who I was for a moment. Anyways, now, what's up guys, PK here. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the more relaxed side of furnishing. Unlike, actually leveling furnishing, which is kind of like working 3 jobs just to be able to pay your rent at the end of the month. Except with furnishing, you instead pour all of your earnings into a big black void and end up getting evicted instead. But on the bright side, at least you earn 2/3 of a skill level in your furnishing. Only one problem. Now you don't have a place to put all your furniture, because you got evicted. But hey, that's furnishing for you. Now you can make all this beautiful furniture, but you can't afford to pay your rent, I'm afraid. That's what leveling furnishing is like. But anyways, that's for another time. I am working on a furnishing guide and an engineering guide, but I thought I'd upload a little bit more frequently again, like I used to. So for that reason, I thought in between those slightly more serious guide, we should do a little bit of a chill guide, a relaxed video, where we just talk about some chill stuff, And, I enjoy to do a little bit of furnishing here and there. So as you can clearly see, you have no idea how much effort this took me. Anyway, I just slapped this together in 5 minutes and, I thought we'd talk a little bit about some of the interesting furnishing recipes, as well as the sort of different tiers of item, how to look for them, also certain schematics that you should watch out for that are currently broken, because for some genius reason, Amazon has decided to put in a bunch of furnishing recipes, but without actually having the items be available. So you can, all the items are in the game, they're in the game files. The schematics are also in the game, and the game files. But the schematics are droppable, whereas when you salvage them, you still don't learn the actual recipe. Whether or not you're gonna then retroactively learn them once they actually open them up, like once they actually get introduced into the game, I don't know. I hope that's the case, but no one knows currently for sure. So anyways, behold my stuff. Now, let's talk a little bit about furnishing score, because furnishing score makes absolutely no sense. As you can see here, I have the brilliant, amazing decoration score of -528. Because that is just how much I suck. Now, your house sort of has a score, an official score, that you can see from the outside, and whichever person has the highest score on that house on that server has the luxury of having their house displayed to the public. Now, I personally think this is kind of stupid, not gonna lie. I feel like it'd be way better if I could, select one of my friends, for example, and then, if they have a house next to me, I could be like, hey, I want his house to be showcased because I want to see what my friend is up to. But no, it's the highest ranked house that gets showcased, which wouldn't bother me so much if not for the fact that the way they've designed the system essentially means it's completely broken. So, let's say that I were to pick up this chair right here, mahogany chair, and select it in here and place it down. You can see here I would get, boom, +11 to my furnishing score, right, or to my decoration score, sorry. If I then were to place this thing in a yellow area, -22. Why -22? Because it gave me 11.4, now it gives me -11, which is a difference of -22. That is stupid, because that, first of all, that means that higher tiers of item don't just give more score, but they also give more minus score when you place them in a location that actually doesn't necessarily look terrible, but that the game doesn't like. And in the beginning, I tried to place everything in green areas, but I just had to give up on that, because, first of all, there are certain items, such as these, that are pretty much impossible to place in a green location. It's either red or it's yellow. Doesn't matter where I put it. It's either yellow or, you see, so this is just a guaranteed minus. It's the same with those oak, there's an oak pirate ornament thing, and that's also impossible to place anywhere without decreasing your decoration score. And so at a certain point, I managed to get to number 2 one time, but then I just gave up on it, because the way it works is every 2 days they recalculate your score. So essentially every 48 hours, it does a sort of a recalculation, and then it combines your decoration score with the amount of stuff you've done in that town in that time period. In other words, the more stuff you craft, the more missions you do, faction missions, town board quests, just buying, refining, crafting stuff, all of that stuff all adds together into sort of stuff you have done in this town, essentially stuff that gives you territory standing, and that combined with your decoration score is what eventually gives you your actual house score, which is what it's based off of, right? Which puts you on that ranking list that you can see outside. And I've just pretty much given up on that because yeah, it's just annoying. Like, for example, here, let me give you an example. This table here, and I've run out of decoration spots, which is why it's not filled up. But this whole table here and these chairs probably contributes to like minus 230 or maybe 300 of my decoration score. Simply because I would not be able to place the chairs this close to the table without giving me a minus. And if they weren't placed that close to the table, then I wouldn't be able to walk past. You know what I mean? Because this house has an incredibly awkward shape, which is really annoying. Everything in this house is unfortunately annoyingly shaped, kind of forcing me to put everything in yellow areas. So that's kind of annoying. Now, in terms of the different tiers here, you can see as you increase your furnishing, you have first the ash, then you have the maple, then you have the oak, and then you have the mahogany. These are the different sort of tiers of wood that you can use to craft the more basic looking pieces, but in higher and higher sort of wood quality thing, right? In sort of a darker and darker wood finish. But let's take a look at the slightly more posh furniture. Now, as you can see here, there's a couple of different categories that all work sort of together in a sense, but with different names, right? And that's kind of useful to know which ones are which. So first things first, you have the hardworking, which is this one up here, sort of silver and wood finish, which works together with this one down here, which is called maritime. Right? So maritime stuff will look like this. I believe there's 4 different items. And then here you have the hardworking, which has all of the different furniture pieces. Then you have the salt striped, which works together with the sea foam to create a sort of white and gold finish. Then you have the slightly higher tier, like you need to be like 170 to 195 to craft these, which is the bloody velvet and the well polished, right? And then you have the black lacquered, which sort of works together with the gothic, right? So these are your different sort of high tier looking finishes. I made it a little, you know, so you guys could see them. And all of them are sort of in the same style, right? So you have everything from tables, all of the different furniture pieces, the different chair types, so on and so forth, in all of these different finishes. Then you have these slightly more niche items that you can actually craft right now that use artifacts. So you have the pristine bear pelt, which allows you to craft this little, where is it? Bear pelt rock, right? So that's this one here. You can also craft these neat looking little skulls here. If you have something called an ancient skull, a straw pet bed, if you have an item called fluffy stuffings, which is this little neat, you know, sleeping area and sort of balls for your doggy dog. Then you have an item called Emberstone, which you can use to craft these little pizza-looking ovens almost, and dummy frames, which you can use to craft these target damage, which unfortunately, kind of sadly, I think, doesn't function as actual target damage. I mean, come on, Amazon, really? You already have target damage in the game. Come on, like, it's a freaking legendary item, okay? The dummy frame is legendary. At least make it a functional target dummy, right? I mean, come on. Feel like that's the least you can do. Then you have a category of items that are droppable that you cannot craft, like a pirate weapon arrangement, as you can see here. You have the horn, that one's craftable, has a schematic. Then you have sort of more niche items like this, the skull with fancy hat, although it is almost guaranteed to drop your decoration score. Then you have the flintlock pistols here. That's another neat little item. You have this, the pirate night lamp. Now, some of these items, like this wheel right here and these here, is from the actual store shop, so those are not craftable or droppable. Then you have the withered bone up here. That's also another neat little item. Of course, this is the large loot lock trophy. Then you have something like this little neat little weapon arrangement here. That's also a really nice item. You got some hanging stuff here, the pirate keg here, hanging chains, the pirate sign, I believe this one is called. There's a bunch of neat looking items in my opinion. And then you have a category of items that are in the game but are either not droppable yet or have schematics that are dysfunctional. Now, I just want to warn you guys, I don't know if these items currently are, like, if you salvage the schematic, then you might learn the item once they're actually introduced into the game. But I just thought I would warn you guys ahead of time about a couple of different categories of these items. So if you find a schematic that's called Jade, none of these work, okay? None of these are functional. So if you salvage the schematic, you're not going to learn anything. So hang on to it, or possibly sell it whilst no one else knows that it's dysfunctional, and hope that you can get an amazing overprice for an item that doesn't exist. No, hang on to it. Then you have stuff called Rosewood. Also, none of these are actually craftable. Then you have something called white gold. Again, not craftable. None of them function. Then you have the teak. Again, all of these sets, non-craftable. Then you have ebony. Not craftable. Then you have some specific items such as stone metal table and crowded armory rack. Now the crowded armory rack is one of those items I would really like. It is such a cool item. Crowded armory rack. Here. Super cool item, but again, not craftable. It doesn't work. Then you have an item such as the ancient skull, the one I talked about earlier, right? Now this one is craftable. Purchase these, they're pretty cheap. And they give you a, is it a candle skull? Skull candle holder. Now, if you want to craft this item, right, you have to search for the item on the market. And then click beeswax. Because beeswax, unless you already have it in your inventory, is one of those annoying items that, despite the fact that it's fully sellable on the market, it has no category. You cannot search for it. So the only way to actually get to the listing outside of scrolling to page 496 is to actually go into an item that uses it in the recipe, like the skull candle holder, and then you can click the item. This is a trick you can use in other contexts as well for other items that don't actually appear, they don't have a category, but if you can find something that actually uses it in a crafting recipe, then you can click the item and get to the listing. So just a little bit of a tip for you guys there. You also have something like the globe. That's another cool item that actually is obtainable. I don't know if you saw, I had one in the corner. So, you know, there's a bunch of really cool items, and a bunch more of really cool items that are coming to the game. Like the Hanging Bonsai. Again, this item does not exist yet as far as I know, but it looks cool as hell. There's so many items, right? And keep in mind also that the game doesn't tell you when you salvage a schematic whether or not you already learned that schematic. So if you have a schematic drop and it's a high tier schematic, like anything from the well polished to the black lacquered, then don't salvage it until you know whether or not you already learned that particular recipe. And that is pretty much all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Now, this is a pretty useless video, let's be real, but I don't know, maybe I just wanted to show off my stuff, you know? You know, there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do, but I feel like there's a couple of things they should change. For example, the amount of lighting items you can have in your house does not increase when you purchase larger houses. Now, it is nigh impossible to light up an entire 2-story room with the amount of lighting items that are currently allowed. So please, Amazon, let us put more lighting items. I get it, you know, it's hard on the game, you don't want to just spam lighting items, you're gonna have issues, but like, come on, okay, come on. Also feel like there should be a better way to increase the amount of decorations you can place outside of territory standing. First of all, I think I missed the first three, I think, in Everfall, because at the time I felt 200? That sounds like a lot, right? That sounds like plenty. I should probably, you know, take something else, something useful, right? And of course that was a huge mistake, because they only appear like once every 15, I believe, once every 15. And it takes forever to get even a single territory standing level once you reach 50 plus, right? Like, I do so much crafting, like literally, I do all my crafting in Everfall. Like 98% of my crafting is done in Everfall. And as you can see here, literally everything but weaponsmithing, I have 200. And I've crafted a lot, even after 200. Like, way after 200, I've purchased nearly every furnishing recipe in the game. Not literally every, but almost every furnishing recipe. And crafted pretty much all of them. I've done, like, jewel crafting like there's no tomorrow. I've done armoring like there's no tomorrow. I'm starting now to do engineering like there's no tomorrow, because I just got all my 3 major engineering trophies. And, like, still, I'm only 70, right? So, and I know doing portals gives a bunch of territory standing, but I've been running portals in Ebonscale Reach like there's no tomorrow. That's about all I've been doing there, but still in Ebonscale Reach I'm only approaching 40, right? So I feel like it should either be tied to furnishing level, or like, there should be some other thing you can do, in my opinion, to actually make that work. So yeah, and keep in mind again with all of these sets that you need to know the name, right? And if you're uncertain as to whether or not your schematic is one that is actually available in the game, then look it up on newworld.db. If you see something that looks like this, then most likely I would not salvage this, the schematic. I would either try to sell it or keep it for a future update. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy... That naked guy with a hammer? Yeah, that was a naked guy with a hammer. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I mentioned earlier, there is an engineering and a furnishing guide coming up very, very soon. Also working on the weaponsmithing one, but that's a little bit further in the future. I've also strongly considered making both a PvP and PvE guide for the bow and the rapier, which are my two favorite items currently, possibly also for the musket. So if that's something you guys would like to see, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. Also working on a guide for perks. And if you guys have any comments, questions, requests, feel free to let me know down below. And as always, I love you guys. Stay awesome. Peace out.